Russia lost more than a factory tonight, it lost 90 days of eyes and hands at the front. Not from a bigger bomb, but from a 14-second gap in a radar cruise shift change. We'll show you how Ukraine's Night Owl AI mapped that window, spoofed Moscow's defenses with bird-like signatures, and opened a door for the Ram 2X swarm to erase Valkyra 2's production pipeline. If you think brute force wins wars, stay. This is how information dominance shuts down a battlefield without firing first. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. A radar crew blinks for 14 seconds. A factory loses 90 days. Valkyra 2 sits behind concrete, mesh, and blast doors. It's an assembly hub with hardened bays, sealed cable vaults, and a spine of control links that feed frontline units their drone upgrades, software loads, and encrypted command paths. On the yard's edge, pallets of airframes and sensor modules cycle in and out, while a central test cell pushes new firmware into guidance stacks before they ship. Everything about the place says continuity. Built to keep the flow steady. On paper, the defenses around it look tight. Long-range radar sweeps overlap shorter sets. SAM belts sit in nested rings. Electronic warfare nodes skim the spectrum and jam what they can't kill. But people run these systems. They take breaks, clear alerts, and hand consoles to the next shift. That's where routine turns into risk. Night Owl's job was simple to say and brutal to do. Pull 1,600 hours of satellite passes, weather models, and emissions logs into one frame, then hunt for a quiet dip that repeats when crews rotate. You strip the feeds, tag every sweep, mark cloud floors, map ground clutter, and watch for the same soft spot to show up when the clock rolls past a shift change. You don't need a big hole. You need a pattern. Here's the technical rub. Radar handoffs aren't a magic beam that swaps hands with no lag. When an operator reauthenticates, retunes a lobe, or switches a sector preset, sensitivity can slip, side lobes can shift, and range gates can reset for a breath. That breath is short. But it lowers the floor. A small target that would pop above the noise sinks back into clutter and rides the margin. It's like a bank vault that's strongest at the door but weak when the guard swaps codes. The steel never moves. The process does. Night Owl builds on that with telemetry stacking. Wind vectors tell you where low flyers can ride ground effect with less energy. Radar lobes show you where coverage thins at the edges of adjacent sectors. Traffic patterns, maintenance trucks, patrol routes, even civilian convoys on nearby roads, give you noise you can hide inside. Layer them, and you can predict when that 14-second lull overlaps a clean ingress lane and a moving screen. The window is narrow. But it repeats. That's the key. If you hit it on schedule, you get through with minimal glow on the network. Miss it, and you run into a live lobe, an alert operator, and a missile battery that's already tracking. The defenses are strong when you make them react on their terms. They're brittle when you force them to respond out of phase. Night Owl pinned the cycle. Not once, not twice, but enough times to trust the next pass. It flagged the handoff as it rolled across consoles, tagged the microdrop in received power, and confirmed the dip against weather that would otherwise lift small targets into view. That gave Ukraine a breach point with a timestamp, a bearing, and a tolerated signature threshold. But you don't walk through a door like that without dressing the part. You need a way to move during the lull without lighting up every scope in the region. You need to look boring to the filter and innocent to the operator. You need a payload that flies low, reads the wind, and stays inside the clutter band long enough to cross the belt while the handoff completes. The plan isn't just to enter. It's to enter, separate, and strike before the net tightens and the console chirps back to full strength. With the window fixed, the next move is to carry a mask and a hammer at the same time. The mask gets you past the doorman. The hammer makes sure the door doesn't matter once you're inside. A sky full of birds that aren't birds opens the door for a swarm that doesn't miss. Enter the Phantom Mimic Protocol. It teaches machines to look like life. Not a neat formation, but the messy arcs of cranes on the move, surges, dips, uneven wing beats translated into throttle nudges and micro-yaw. On radar, that reads as seasonal migration sliding along a river line. The real approach vectors hide inside that noise, drifting where operators expect wildlife, not weapons. Russian defense logic trims away what it calls clutter. Wildlife, wind shear, ground returns. That filter keeps crews sane, but it also becomes the Trojan horse. You lean into the system's habit. Let it protect their attention from false alarms while the actual threat rides the same lane the filter ignores. They think they're cleaning the scope. They're opening a path. The deception stack starts with throwaways that matter. AL-50 decoys climb into view and flare just enough radar skin to look like a small strike. Interceptors bite, yaw off axis, and burn fuel on a chase that never pays. Meanwhile, the true swarm curls low, hugging the clutter corridor the birds create. They don't need to be fast. They need to be boring to a machine trained to shrug at biology. Here's the research angle you can bank on. Set radars struggle to discriminate low RCS, slow-altitude clutter at the thresholds where noise and target merge, especially when automation prunes anything that matches a known biological pattern. Patterned swarms can game that pruning because the algorithm chooses calm scopes over messy ones and pushes edge cases down the stack. The more you act like nature, the more the filter saves the operator from you. Now for the hammer. Ram 2X. Compact airframe. About 18 pounds on the warhead. High-pressure charge built not to shred a wall, but to punch a shock wave into the shell and snap the bones inside. Guidance rides time, not just GPS. The swarm locks to shared beats, cross-checks drift, and tightens to a 3-foot error margin. Cruise missile accuracy from units you can carry by hand. They fly as a triad. Alpha steers for the assembly core where frames meet firmware. Beta peels for the component stores that feed the line, motors, boards, sealed packs. Gamma threads for the control nodes, the place where tasks are queued and sent. Cut heart, then lungs, then brain. You don't flatten the sight. You stop the function. Timing becomes the blade. The charge stacks run on a 0.9 second offset. Alpha breaks first to crack load paths through beams that tie bays together. Beta pops next to drive overpressure through aisles of spares and break the resupply spine. Gamma goes last to wipe on-site data, surge racks, and leave consoles dead or untrusted. While defenses chase the ghosts up high, the real damage walks through the door down low. Decoys keep the chaos going. IR throwers bloom hot in clean air and pull missiles off the deck. Heat seekers love a bright lie. Radar sees a fighter group where none exists because a separate broadcast pretends to be a fast jet package, and the screening radar leans into that bait, spinning crews toward the wrong altitude band at the wrong time. Every second they spend on the fake is a second the swarm crosses a belt. Valkyra 2 absorbs the hits and then folds by segments. The assembly hall goes dark. The stores go inert. The control nodes stop talking. Production doesn't slow, it stalls. Sensor feeds and command links around it stumble as the disruption knocks trust out of the local net. Crews call for fresh eyes that aren't there. The line goes quiet for weeks. That's the power of an information-led strike. If the filter is predictable, the outcome is, too. So what do you change first, the routine or the logic that protects it? Wars tilt when a human habit turns into a precision kill chain. 14 seconds froze 90 days. That's not luck. That's discipline, intel, and timing turned into force. You saw how routine fed risk. You also saw how deception cut the fuse. If you track how intel, timing, and deception beat brute force, subscribe and comment your take. Fix routines or redesign the whole defense logic? Comment your choice below. The weakest moment isn't the thinnest armor. It's the pattern you repeat. Break it, or someone else will. The next strike won't ask for permission. It will ask one question: where do your habits hide?